Okay, good morning, everybody. If you would find a seat, we'll do a 60-second countdown. Okay, good morning, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Feliz Navidad. It's nice to have everybody here. We will call the December 20th, 2022 Volusia County Council meeting to order at 9:32 a.m. As is our custom, we will start with an invocation. So in just a minute, I'll ask you to stand if you care to stand for the invocation, and then that will be immediately followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We invite any faith group in Volusia County that would like to participate in our invocation to do so. Just send an email to kgreen, like the color, at volusia.org, and Kay Green will, that's Kay Green over there, she will give you all the information necessary. All faith groups are welcome. This morning we have an unfortunate cancellation by the person scheduled to, but local resident and farmer Steve Crump has answered the call to lead us in an invocation. Steve, we really appreciate it. If everybody would please stand.
Let us bow our heads. Lord, we come to you with the spirit of the season in our hearts today. We pray for those that are hungry. We pray for those that are sick and the lonely. We ask that you comfort them, and that if we are to be the comforter, give us the wisdom, the knowledge, and the power to do so. And all God's people said, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for stepping in.
Carissa, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Post.
Here.
Mr. Robbins.
Here.
Ms. Wheeler.
Here.
Ms. Gertman.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Brower.
Here. All right, and we will start our meeting with public participation. You look eager. As often happens at these meetings, the first person signed up to speak is Paul Richardson. And Paul, if you would come forward, and then I will just call the names after that. Just come up to the podium and please speak into the microphone so everybody can hear you and so that it's recorded, and you will have 3 minutes to talk about any subject that you like. Thank you, Paul.
Morning, Council. My name is Paul Richardson of The Land. Normally I have a scripted speech for you. Today I'm going to go completely off script because you know me what I try to do. I've been trying since I first started talking to you guys about a 4th of July 2026. Now, I'm a very early riser, and I often go to the store like when Walmart when it opens up. And one morning during the height of the pandemic, I was given this letter simply addressed to my neighbor. He handed out a couple of these envelopes to a couple of people, but I was one of the participants. I've never seen that guy since, but he had some hopeful words in here in this letter I'd like to share with you that keeps me going in these times. A dear neighbor, due to the coronavirus, we are not able to visit you in person. I'm writing this letter to encourage you with good news from the Bible, God's written word. Psalms 37, 8 through 11, it says, let go of anger and abandon rage. Do not become heated up and turn to doing evil. For evil men will be done away with just a little while longer, and the wicked will be no more. You will search for him, but he will not be there. But the meek will inherit the earth, and they will find their source of delight in the abundance of peace. I'm not going to give you his name. He did his name, but I'm going to refer to him as my neighbor. And that's, while my goal to get this 2026 4th of July thing going is not the impetus from this letter, but it does keep me going. Every time I doubt myself or doubt my mission to do so, I open this letter up and see that this guy couldn't reach out physically during the pandemic, but can only do so through a letter. And it was a hopeful letter. It was not one of anger, not one of despair, but hope. And so I hope to bring my neighbor that hope again through this 4th of July thing. Now, I'm sorry that most of you are going to be leaving us at the end of the year, but I will hopefully work with Jeff and Danny, who will be here starting next year, to get this 4th of July thing going, and hopefully, and with the other new council members too. So that is my hope. That's and as with the season of Christmas and New Year, hope is also coming towards us in a new era. So I close with Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Carl Feaster.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm actually a homeowner. I'm also a construction analyst with the Small Business Administration Disaster Program, and I've had an insurance agent license, adjuster's license since 1974. I'm also the owner builder of this property. This is concerning a contract that I had with a Fraser Construction LLC to replace my roof that began on April 29th. But I'm going to jump to November 3rd, where I had met with, at that time, the Chief Building Inspector, Sean Milligan, to discuss an engineering report that was submitted by the contractor because his subcontractor failed to put the roof on per the manufacturer's specifications. So I spoke with him about that, and he reviewed it with me. It's about the clip spacing as to how the strength of the roof and how it would be held down for the uplift. He wanted to arrange for a meeting with Fraser and me when I returned from an extended vacation. I didn't get back until December the 3rd. We had gone to my daughter's anniversary in Hawaii. I called the inspection department 4 times trying to arrange the meeting with Sean Milligan, left messages with no responses, so I came to the office, the inspection department, December 15th, and found out that he was no longer with the county, but no one had returned my call and advised me of this. So at that point, I wanted to discuss, and so I went to the building department, as I said, the 15th, spoke with Kerry Lusinger, who was now the chief building inspector. He had informed me that he had passed the final inspection on this, even though I had advised him and Mr. Milligan that there were incorrect measurements for the building and everything in the engineer's report, and I have the plans. I built the house, and how he had filled this out. Basically, my opinion is that the builder went out and bought the inspection because it is at the minimum standards for hurricane class 1, and that's not how my house is built, okay? manufacturer of the product had actually filed their engineer report with the product approval code, and that's what the standard it was supposed to be built to, and it wasn't. As I said, the subcontractor cut corners. Back to Kerry Lessinger, he refused to discuss it with me and told me it was now a civil matter, so I said to him, so I have to get an attorney to talk with you, the county, and the builder for a building inspection. And he said, now that you mentioned an attorney, I can't talk to you anymore, and turned around and basically walked away from it. The problem is that the permit that was filed for is different roof material than what was put on my house. That went by. In the storms, my roof has failed, and that the underlayment that they used, which is this, does not adhere to the old underlayment, so water's on the interior of my decking.
Carl, let's do this.
Okay.
Since we're out of time, I would like to see if we can arrange a meeting either with legal or the county manager. We will reach out to you and,
I spoke a little bit with Chris Ryan.
okay?
Okay, he was going to get back with me this week. I could think he's an assistant attorney with, but I
Okay.
haven't heard from him because
Okay.
I was advised to come to this meeting and actually bring it up.
We'll make sure that someone contacts
Yeah, I
you.
knew it was gonna take me more than 3 minutes, so.
Thank you for coming. Good luck with the situation.
Who will I be getting with then?
Chris
Who?
Ryan is here.
Chris
and Mr.
Ryan.
Ryan will approach him.
He's in the back? Okay.
Sure.
Chris Ryan is in the back and can talk to you now.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Lisa Landis?
Hello, my name is Lisa Landis. I have been a resident of Florida since 1977, on and off, in Volusia since 97, on and off. I'd like to speak to you about crimes against humanity. I have sent an email, Jeff Bauer, and also the county manager. I'm identifying people and places. It's regarding the opioid epidemic and the criminal justice system that profits on those who are afflicted with a disease and decay that the criminal system is profiting on. I was in court yesterday in Daytona, and do you know that Daytona has the reputation of come on vacation and leave on probation? I think that's really disgusting how a certain class of people is preyed upon. And I'd like to point out on the agenda on page 13, it states that we are all responsible for keeping our First Amendment and for our grievances. So I'm speaking to y'all today about a grievance that I have with the criminal justice system. My son was not released yesterday because of the paperwork was screwed up. So that puts him in until a little bit longer, but hey, what is it, $5 a day that you guys are making by putting someone in jail? $30 just for arresting someone? Where's the incentive in that? Who is making these rules here? Who do I need to speak with in order to address the crimes against humanity? Are any of you willing to participate in crimes against humanity? And if you're not, then you need to step up and you say, I will be responsible for the millions of dollars that we have received in the opioid settlement to put those afflicted by this into a treatment program and not keep them in a system that is profiting. And by the way, to call, it cost me almost or over $19 to put $10 on his phone, and the answer service is going to the Philippines. The Philippines is the outsourcer of funds. So I could go into a whole lot more. If anybody wants to reach me, GLOLady, GLOLADY, hashtag, find me all over. You have a great day.
Thank you. I have your email address. I'll contact you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. John Navarra?
Good morning. I come here today to fulfill a campaign pledge. I ran for the Florida House District 28 in the last election. It was a free and fair election, and unfortunately, I did not win. After seeing the people's belongings in Daytona Beach, in Holly Hill, and many other areas out on the streets because of the flooding, I could not, after the election, not participate in finding a solution to this problem. I decided that I have worked for the faith organization for many years on different issues to help the community, and I signed up immediately, even before the results of the election, to get a solution and look at solutions to how to solve this problem. We are now working on the research phase, and everything is on the table. We're just volunteers. We don't have any other agenda besides helping people secure their homes and avoid having their homes flooded. That's our only goal. And so we're in the research stage, and I will not come up with solutions yet because we're still researching. We do want, if it's possible, to speak with any council member individually, because that would fulfill the sunshine laws. And especially Chairman Brower, if you are interested in meeting with us, we would love to get your ideas and get ideas on any solutions there are. It was just very emotional to campaign and knock on people's doors, get to know people. And after the flooding hit, I did see how the people have suffered. I spent time in people's churches, getting to know them and meeting their children, and getting out and reaching out to the community as a proper candidate should do. And I wound up being emotionally invested in my community. And I can't step back as a United States citizen, because that's probably higher than any other office, or a member of faith, to not do what I can to help these people. And so we will be reaching out to the county council, and right now what we really need is expert opinion on what solutions are best and how we can pay for them with the taxpayers' money properly. That is very important too. And any solutions are on the table. It'll probably be private organizations that maybe the county council or the state or the city would hire to take care of this. But we plead for your help, because I saw as a candidate the needs of my community, and I told my residents, win or lose, I will work tirelessly to find a solution to help your families. Thank you, and have a great holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I also have your email. This is going to be a busy Christmas. I will contact you and introduce you to a group in West Volusia whose goals coincide exactly with yours. So I'll be in touch shortly. Thank you for coming forward. Okay, that's any more? Okay, then we will close public. Pardon?
She's wondering where John Nichols is. Probably celebrating the holiday.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like.
Did he go to the Daytona Beach meeting?
No, that's not until tonight.
Okay, so we don't know yet. Yeah. Okay, that brings us to item 1, the consent agenda. 2 questions. Does anyone have an item they would like to pull for a vote?
No.
Does anyone have an item they would like to pull for comment?
Move approval.
I would like to pull L1, L2, and P just for comment, just to, staff's comment, just to, so the public can hear about them. And Heather Post moves for approval.
Chair.
Second by Wheeler.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
F,
F.
just for discussion.
For comment, okay.
Yeah.
Wheeler is still, you still seconding that? Okay. Okay, we'll start with F, Volusia Forever purchase of environmentally sensitive land is, Brad is here. Perfect. Everybody's here.
Bring in the reinforcements. So this is another Volusia Forever purchase that we have in front of you, and it is 4.3 acres. It's an in-holding in Spruce Creek Preserve, and by in-holding I mean it's completely surrounded by the preserve. So this is one of the last holdouts. It has came to us in 2009. It was on the A-list then, and it was put back on the A-list by the current Volusia Forever Council or Committee and this council. It provides 650 feet of water frontage and access along Murray Creek. And interestingly, we just completed the Echo Quality of Life Survey. Overwhelmingly, the respondents, our citizens, said that water access was extremely important to their quality of life. There's 2 billboards on the property that will produce $3,000 in annual income for us. And there's also opportunities for public recreation and a Reed Hughes Outdoor Learning Center, which the council had agreed to do about 15 years ago at one of the Spruce Creek sites. It'll be a passive educational kind of classroom that will focus on the environmental, cultural, historic, and outdoor recreation opportunities on Spruce Creek Preserve. One of our preserves that have 5 access points, this will make it a 6th access point to the preserve. Next slide, please. As you can see here, directly south, so the parcel is the triangle-shaped parcel that's in the white. Directly south, we have 52 acres of conservation land that the public cannot access at this point. This acquisition will give us access to that 52 acres, and we plan to put a trail and a disc golf course there. Slide, please. So the habitat consists of hardwood forest and some salt marsh. It meets 12 of our 19 criteria. As I mentioned, we've seen this property twice and put it on our A list, our high priority acquisition list. The purchase price is $405,000. We do not have a partner for this one. I think our strategy in terms of in-holdings is a little different, and one that we may be willing to consider going it alone, and we made that decision here to capture this property, and it will be managed by our team. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Brad. Just real quick, I know we had talked about this in a staff meeting, but I think it's a great project. This is kind of billboard revenues. How do we look into that? If you do the calculations, it's a great location. I don't know if there's a contract, George, that we can look at. It comes out to be about $125 a month. It seems really cheap. How can we generate a little bit more to possibly go back into that program or offset the funds to maintain it?
2025. Okay. So the contracts are up for renegotiation in 2025. They were 20-year contracts, so this was locked in 20 years ago. So we'll open back up for negotiation in a few years, and of course, we'll ask for more money. I did ask the team at Land Management to conduct an inventory of the billboards across conservation lands. I will be completely frank with you, the ones that we jointly own with others, most of the time they're forbidden, which we jointly own a lot. But there are some opportunities on lands, if there's direction from the council to pursue it as a revenue enhancement strategy, which we've done in land management this year.
That's good. With the council's permission, or support. Can I get a copy, or can we get copies of that contract? Just for review, and also a list of other properties that may be eligible for billboards or something we can make some money on. Thank you. That's all.
We'll get that for you.
Thank you. You can, Brad, if you would provide that to all the new incoming council members and Danny and I, thank you. Okay, L1, probably every council member here, even from District 1 to at large, has had phone calls and questions about beach sand, and because of that, I wanted the public to hear that there is progress being made. There's a lot of work being done to help homeowners, condo owners, and just retailers up and down the beach who are concerned whether or not we'll have a season because there's a beach with no sand on it. Tide's coming all the way up to the seawall. So with that, take it away, Ben. Thank you.
Sure. Ben Bartlett, Volusia County Public Works Director. L1 and L2 are linked. As you know, last meeting, council approved an agreement with the DEP for $5 million in funding to provide or to put sand on the beach. These two items are linked to that. L1 is an agreement with the Florida Inland Navigation District to acquire beach-compatible sand from their pit in Edgewater. It's for 100,000 cubic yards at no cost. We'll have to truck it out. The one good thing about this source is that the fund can only provide this material to government agencies, so we're not out competing with private entities and private property owners, driving up the price for a material that is in high demand, obviously. And L2, the one issue we have on the site is we have some gopher tortoises out there. So L2 is a task assignment with Zev Cohen to do the work as far as identifying the burrows and relocating them. About 80% of this cost is associated with the recipient site and the permits associated with that. So you have to pay the recipient site to accept the gopher tortoises. So we're, approved the agreement last week to get the funding. We're working on the sand source with these agreements, and we hope to start putting some sand on the beach to provide some temporary protection to vulnerable properties along the beach and give those folks time to make repairs to their properties and shore them up. I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
It's a good project, it's needed. My concern is $228,000 to move turtles. Do we have any idea how many turtles there are there?
Tortoises. I believe we're up to about 50 last check in there. There's quite a few, and most of it is, we're paying a consultant to do this work. They provide a biologist and the means to remove these tortoises and transport them, but the large, like 80% of this cost is to pay the recipient site to take them and the permitting associated with it. So Zev Cohen's actual work in this whole thing is around 17 to 18%. So relocating gopher tortoises is not an inexpensive proposition. However, we are getting this sand for free, which makes this cost a viable alternative.
And Mr. Chair, the number of burrows estimated in the staff memo is 56. So this will give us up to 56 relocated tortoises under this contract.
What is a fee to accept one? What are we paying somebody to, do you know?
My understanding and the way it works, and Ginger could probably speak to it a lot better than I can, but there's land set aside. They require a certain amount of acreage per tortoise, and so that land is preserved for those tortoises, and so there's a finite amount of tortoises that they can take. It's a pretty common situation for relocating these.
And the contract does specify that the recipient site fees are $6,000 per tortoise.
Wow. Danny Robbins.
Ben, Do we have any existing habitat where we don't have to shell out all this money? For instance, the property that Forever Volusia is getting, or do we have any other locations that we can kind of cut them out of it or minimize that? I'd rather see that go to more.
My understanding is that those areas have to be permitted. Not to say that that's something we can't look at moving forward, but it's basically you have to go through a permitting process with the DEP to get the sites approved for this type of
Is there any way we
use.
can look into that and see how long it would
Absolutely.
take
I
before
mean,
we?
you know,
We are doing that. In fact, Brad and his team just left the room, but we are looking at our conservation lands. We have one site that has been deemed potentially viable. There is some very specific site criteria that have to be adhered to by the state. Unfortunately, timing-wise, that site is not expected to be available in the short term, which is when we need to yield the sand from this particular area. So we hope, though, moving forward, we'll have at least some access to county-owned lands to avoid these extraordinary fees.
Is Smyrna Dunes Park not on the, I mean, I think they have a habitat area there. It's not, do we know?
I'll get back to you on a specific site basis. I can't speak to
Okay.
that or any other specific site this morning, but happy to get back to you on that.
and just, you know, this is for 100,000 cubic yards, and we're spending roughly $220,000 to relocate those gopher tortoises. I mean, I believe they have up to 400,000 yards available. So that's a pretty good, you know, you're looking at $2 a yard for this material, which it's going for quite a bit more in other areas.
And that's true. I agree with Councilman Robbins that we should look, I mean, it's still over $5,000 per turtle to move them. I'm not against protecting the turtles. I think that we should. It's you know, we've got homeless people sleeping in their cars that could use $5,000 for a motel room. So I just think, I agree with Mr. Robbins that we should be as responsible as possible in making sure that money is well used. It is, when you look at the total yardage, yeah, it's pretty cheap for the price of, especially for the price of beach compatible sand right now. So please keep looking for more and bring us more good news.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. What are you doing? Okay. And then P, just wanted to hear mostly, Tad, what are we getting for that? What is, just describe the project.
Sure. This is Sea Bridge. This pier was damaged during the storms, and so we're getting it repaired. So it didn't qualify for FEMA funds or anything along those lines. It's aging out as well. So we had originally contracted with Tadeos to do the stringers, the lower structure portions of it, and we had a pardon me, an alternate in there to do what we call phase 2, which is this portion of it. If we could find the money, we wanted to go ahead and use the existing contractor, and if not, then Tim and his group would do their best to use their existing manpower for it. We were able to locate the money, and so this is why we're bringing phase 2, which is the decking portion of the structure.
Pinpoint the location for me.
For Sea Bridge? It's in Ormond Beach. It's on the west side of the intercoastal, or pardon me, the east side of the intercoastal. Don't know the nearest, Tim, what's the nearest cross street?
Right.
John Anderson Drive, but what's the nearest cross street? Sea Bridge. Okay.
Okay. It's
Sea Turtle
dilapidated,
Terrace is also, I think, the cross street, if that's helpful.
Yeah. I've had residents up there ask about it months ago, so I was glad to see it.
We're
come
using
up.
the same contractor, and it was a low bid process, mind you, but the same one that did High Bridge, and that was a higher priority, so, and that one took
Okay.
longer than we would have liked, but now they're ready to move on to this,
Everything does, doesn't it?
especially on the water.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much, I appreciate it. Okay, did we vote on the consent agenda? Would you like to? We have a motion and a second to pass the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
And for the record, the motion was by Ms. Post, seconded by Ms. Wheeler.
Yes, this is correct. And that brings us to item 2, reestablishment of the fine and forfeiture fund. Too many Fs. This one has also brought a lot of public questions, so be clear.
All right, I'll do my best. Ryan Osowski, Chief Financial Officer. What you have here before you is a resolution to reestablish the Fine and Forfeiture Fund. The Fine and Forfeiture Fund is actually one of the core funds that is set up in Florida statutes for county budgets. There's another statute, all the statute actual references are in the agenda item. There's another statute that allowed counties to consolidate funds by resolution. This is one of the funds that had been consolidated that currently no longer exists. This fund by statute is actually also allowed to levy a separate millage rate. This fund, if we had it in place, would allow us to split the general fund into 2 different millage rates so that taxpayers could clearly see on their trim notice and their tax bills how much of their property taxes go to fund law enforcement, and in our case, we would be specifically funding the sheriff's office. During the budget process for the last 2 years, we've actually put up a pie chart that shows how much of the general fund millage is related to the sheriff. But because it's just a pie chart, because it's just presented in one of these budget presentations, I would bet maybe 1% of taxpayers actually know that information, or less. By putting it on the tax bill, it'll be clear that you have 2 different millages, one for the general fund operations and one that goes to fund the sheriff's office. That breakdown that we presented last year was approximately 1.17 mils. If we had had this fund in place at that time, your general fund rate would have been lower by 1.17 mils. Because the intent of this is not a new tax, it is to split your current general fund tax so that the transparency of how much of your budget is coming for law enforcement and being funded to the sheriff's office directly, because this council, when they approve the sheriff's budget, is acting as a pass-through agency. The sheriff is the largest component of your general fund budget. As far as any of our departments go, their budget was $68 million out of the general fund last year. The next biggest budget would be corrections at $53 million out of the general fund. But by far, the sheriff is the largest component. So by reestablishing this fund, this just sets the groundwork. The vote today doesn't do anything related to taxes, obviously. That would be set during the next council in July. And then the budget hearings would be in September. What this resolution does is simply reestablish that fund, allows us to have that conversation that we're having right now about the intent to move forward and separate your existing general fund millage into 2 funds, an action by itself that has no fiscal impact, no increases in taxes, just by reestablishing this fund. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Ben Johnson.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Johnson, second by Gertman. You hit on the important questions, the most frequent question I'm getting: are you creating a new tax?
It separates the existing tax.
That's correct. There are, which leads to another question. So now there are 2 millage rates. That gives 2 opportunities to raise taxes next year, or would there be any difference?
There will be 2 rates, and there would be 2 separate votes on those rates. But that actually would not be for, the calculation for rollback and whether it's considered legally a tax increase would not apply for this July because there was no pre-existing fine and forfeiture fund. So when we do our budget presentations, we're going to have to be very clear about basically adding those two back together to compare to this year's general fund.
Next year?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? All in, we have a motion to approve by Johnson, second by Gertman. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Item 2A. Settlement of construction lawsuit. Oh boy.
Morning, Kevin Bledsoe, Deputy County Attorney. We're here to recommend approval of a settlement agreement to resolve pending litigation under terms that we believe are favorable to the county. To provide some background, Johnson Brothers bid of $38 million to build the Veterans Memorial Bridge. The next lowest bidder was $53 million approximately, so the Johnson Brothers bid was $15 million less than the next lowest bidder. Throughout the construction, Johnson Brothers has made multiple claims seeking for additional payment. A lot of these claims were design related to the bridge design, which they believe made it more expensive for them to build the bridge than they anticipated. Ultimately, Johnson Brothers sued the county for damages in excess of $22 million. We've retained Will McFetridge, a construction lawyer, to defend the county, and the county subsequently brought in WSP, the engineer responsible for the bridge design, and we have a trial that is scheduled in March of 2024. As a condition of the proposed settlement, the county will be dismissed from the pending lawsuit. Johnson Brothers will be able to pursue its design-related claims against WSP, but the county will not be a party to that lawsuit. I'm going to let County Engineer Tad Casebeer talk about the source of the funds used to build the bridge and to secure the settlement, and Mr. McFetridge is here to discuss any questions that you may have about the litigation and why we believe the agreement is in the best interest of the county.
Good morning, Tad Casebeer, County Engineer. This project was a federally funded project. The county has not expended any funds other than our staff time pursuing this particular project. As a part of the settlement, what the county will be doing is we'll be paying out the existing contract balance. We had withheld approximately $2.2 million that we had not paid the contractor, which he is due under the contract. We had held that to offset. Is it on? Okay, all right. We'd withheld the 2.2 to offset the liquidated damages that were incurred on this project. So we have that which we would pay. We would forgive the liquidated damages as a portion of this. They had a claim of approximately $825,000 in overruns, material overruns on the project, which we would pay those out. And then we have our cost to get out of this, so to speak, and offset that. That's $2.75 million. The contract amount would be reimbursed by the Department of Transportation using federal funds per the existing contract. The overruns, a portion of those definitely qualify for federal reimbursement, assuming the DOT has money that's not spoken for on other projects, which we do expect is the case. Any portion of that that's not covered would be the county's responsibility to pay, and then the final amount, the 2.775, that's our responsibility as well. So the overall settlement amount is approximately 5.8, of which we're about on the hook for just over half of that portion of it. Again, the contract was federally funded, so everything up to that amount is definitely covered, and we would work with them on the overrun aspect of it. So, all right.
Good morning, everyone. Will McFetridge with the law firm Johnson Pope, outside counsel for the county. I've been working with the county since I think June of 2020 on this project. To give you a little context, this is a federally funded job, but it's not actually administered by the FDOT. We all consider it an FDOT-like project. I both worked for the FDOT and against the FDOT. When you look at the contract value of about $40 million in comparison to what the county would be paying out to essentially resolve these disputes, it's well within the bounds of reason and what the FDOT ultimately looks at as a reasonable overage on their road and bridge projects. Obviously, we ran into this project ran into some disputes and some hurdles. It's been a long process. We wouldn't be here if we didn't think this was a reasonable resolution for the county, a good resolution for the county. It cuts off what would be protracted litigation expenses. It allows the county to get dismissed completely from the lawsuit, and it removes the uncertainty of the ongoing litigation. So we are here to approve, to seek your approval for that settlement agreement. Any questions?
Ben Johnson.
I think this is probably the best deal we could ever come up with. One is Johnson Brothers has sold out, gone out of business. And I've never been sold that they were in good faith when they originally did this, underbid, then start putting in cost changes. I think we all probably agree with that. And even though they're out of business, I think very much we should take and document who are the principals of the Johnson Brothers, and that's no kin to me. We're the poor Johnsons here in Florida, but anyway, we should document the principals of that company. And if they show up on any future contracts, immediately write them out, or at least look at it very, very hard, because we all know that they kind of go from one to another, build a new operation, and then pull these kind of stunts. I commend you for doing what you did. Our law bill alone could be well over $1 million, and if we lose it, it's $1 million plus that, plus theirs. So I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this settlement. I think you did a good job of getting to this point. And I think we have all to gain right now by doing this, and everything to lose if we don't approve it.
I'll second.
Motion to approve by Johnson, second by Gertman. Danny Robbins.
Thank you. During this whole process here, now, and they're obviously going belly up, we're going to be paying them the settlement cost. How do we make sure that these subs, we went over that, they had sent us in forms saying that their subs were all paid, and they were not. Mm-hmm. To keep us in good standing with whether it was local businesses, contractors, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you can hear me. Go ahead. Yep, absolutely. So just one very brief point of clarification. Johnson Brothers was purchased by a much larger corporation called the Southland entity. I'm not totally sure. I'm not sure that they are going out of business. They were purchased by a larger company, so they may still be operational. So just one quick point of clarification. To your point, Mr. Robbins, yes, we've written in an enforcement mechanism into the settlement agreement. We did our own due diligence to find out who may still be unpaid. We've narrowed it down to a single existing subcontractor that is waiting on funds from Johnson Brothers. We've written in, to that exact point, we've written in this enforcement mechanism into the settlement agreement that requires them, go ahead. Oh, that requires them to pay them within 10 days after receiving funds from us, and then provide us evidence of that payment within an additional 5 days. And there's an enforcement mechanism within the agreement that requires them to do that. So we've found out who is remaining unpaid to ensure that they do actually get paid once Johnson Brothers gets this money from the county.
What's keeping them from not paying?
I mean, this agreement is essentially. I mean, they could always go against the agreement, but based on the conversations that we have had with Johnson Brothers, the position that we are in, it is in their best interest to just get this paid, wash their hands of it, and move on. So, can we force their hand in a sense? I think that what we've done under the settlement agreement is allowed us to force their hand as much as we can.
Because, my biggest hang up here is we've already put our hand on this hot plate, and they've lied to us essentially, or were untruthful when they handed in slips saying, hey, we paid our subs already in order, and they get paid, they're getting paid, but they weren't truthful to begin with. What makes us think that they are now?
Part of it is that, and I mean, the statements you're referencing, that was with the construction team. We are not dealing with the construction team. We are dealing with the conglomerate that owns Johnson Brothers, the principals of those companies. So to that point, we are dealing with a separate set of people. We have every anticipation that they're going to be following through on this requirement under the settlement agreement. There would be, like I said, there would be an enforcement mechanism. If they ultimately did not do that, we would then be able to force their hand. But more than what is in the agreement, that's about as far as we can go as far as forcing their hand on this issue.
All right, thanks.
Is there another handheld that we can have at the other end of the podium? We have a motion by Ben Johnson, second by Barb Gertman, to approve this. One last question that I'm being asked, because people read this and they're without the knowledge of what brought us here that you just explained. Does this have anything to do with, has it affected the safety or integrity of the bridge in any way?
No, sir. The quality of the bridge, the quality of the workmanship is acceptable. It meets all the minimum requirements plus some. A large part of the issues we had with them, we're trying to make sure that we got things to a certain level of quality, and we have achieved that. So no, from a structural standpoint, the bridge meets those requirements.
Thank you. So this is a question of billing and payment.
Correct.
Thank you for making that clear. All right, any other questions? All in favor of approving this settlement, say aye. Any opposed? And motion carries 6-0. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for your time.
Item 3, Votran schedule changes.
Good morning, Kelvin Miller, General Manager for Votran. We come before you today to get your approval to make permanent some of the temporary changes we made. We did those in 3 phases, January, April, and May. And the reason why we have to come before you today is because federal law states that any time you have a major change in routes or routing, you have to do it within 12 months to make them permanent. So we come in before you today to seek your approval to make these changes permanent. One of the things that we have to do in any major change, Title VI requires us to go before the public to inform them of the changes that we propose to make. And we had we had 4 public hearings that we had 3 on the west side, 2 on the west side, 2 on the east side, and 1 virtual meeting. The changes that we come before you today, the first one, on Saturday service, we normally would run 30-minute service. We changed that to 60-minute service all day. Weekdays in the non-peak, which is basically from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., we come to 60-minute service on 7 routes, the 3, 4, 11, and 60, actually 4 routes, and then 7 and 20 for hourly all day, weekday. The reason why we kept the service 30 minutes is to get people back and forth to work between 6 and 10 and between 3 and 7. Just make sure everyone gets to work into their appointments in school. During our public hearings, we had no major comments, no major negative comments from the public. A lot of the comments were more to do with trying to figure out how to do routing and how to use the MyStop app and things like that. But as far as the service changes, there were no major negative comments. Service impacts, the ridership on the affected routes actually decreased about 8.1%, but total ridership actually only decreased about 2.75%. We think that some of the folks who were riding the affected routes took other routes to get to where they were going, so that's why the total increase is only 2.7%. Revenue on the affected routes decreased about 6%, but overall, revenue only decreased about 1.5%. The permanent changes basically will be about $500,000 to the general fund. These permanent changes will take place in January of 2023. Any questions that you may have?
Heather Post.
All right, we'll try this.
Before you speak, should everybody who's not speaking, should their microphones be off? Is that contributing to feedback?
So I'm going to vote yes on this because I really don't think that there's any other option really at this point. But I will say I'm still very concerned. I know this is my last meeting, but I'm very concerned about the reduction in services to the people in Volusia County who really, truly rely on that service to exist and to take care of their families. And also the fact that Votran we're still not paying employees quite up to par. So I am very, very concerned about that for the future. And I hope that future council will look at this and understand that transportation service is never a profitable venture anywhere, and that we should not be looking at it as a profitable venture. We should be looking at it as what it is. It's a service to the citizens, and it's a very, very valid and needed service. So I'll just say I'm going out extremely concerned about the bus service.
Yeah, and understand that the reason why we had to make these changes were because of our staffing shortages with drivers. And we have recently just upped the salaries to some of our employees, so.
Yeah, but we had that discussion before, but to me, still not quite a livable wage, right? So, okay, thank you.
Is there a motion? Motion to approve by Johnson, second by Wheeler. Any other comments? All in favor of these changes, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Item 4, budget resolution. Aaron.
Good morning, Council. Aaron Van Cleek, Deputy Finance Director. So the budget resolution that's in front of you is to transfer an additional $3.5 million to the group insurance fund to cover claims incurred related to COVID. This would give us an additional $1 million for claims in FY23, but we have incurred the claims to this point for the other $2.5 million in this resolution, in addition to the money that was already appropriated to the fund.
Move approval.
Motion move for approval by Post, second by Gartman. Any other questions? Does this apply any money for a new sound system?
No, but we'll look for that.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Brings us to item 5, application for 2022 FEMA Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Grant.
Good morning, council members. Jim Judge, Director for Department of Emergency Services. And with me is Chief Jeff Alberts. Jeff spent about 3 months working on this project with Laura Laser. And so we're excited about this potential project. So really the BRIC program is the Building Resilient Infrastructure Communities. And it makes grant dollars available for hazard mitigation activities to reduce the reduction. Let's see, let me go to the next slide. All right. To reduce reduction activities that mitigate risk to public infrastructure and enhance climate resilience. So essentially relocating our Fire Station 15 from its current location over at the training center to put it in a much better location. And basically 2 safe room projects. First of all, the fire station would be also a safe room, able to withstand winds of 155 miles an hour. And then also the EOC annex. And some of the information that were necessary to provide to the state was submitted by the September 20th deadline. And the second, again, besides the fire station, is the EOC annex, or what we're calling a multi-purpose facility that would not only provide additional showers, restrooms, but also sleeping facilities, because if you've been over to EOC when we're activated, we've got cots stacked everywhere. And so Volusia County has completed the FEMA GO application on November the 14th. And if approved by the state and the council, the grant will be submitted to FEMA by January the 27th, and that's in progress now. This is a 36-month time frame if we were to receive the grant. And of course, there will be 3 selection statuses identified for further review, not selected, or does not meet the hazard mitigation requirements. So once, if we were to receive the grant, we would have 30 days to accept from the notification time frame. And it would be essentially a $24 million project, 25% match. So that would be about $4.7 million from fire, $1.3 million from emergency management, and funds would be available in the reserves in the fire fund for 23-24. And this would be the proposed location of the new fire station, which puts it right off of 92, basically shaving off almost 2 minutes or more off of the response times to be able to get right on Speedway and get moving. But then also, it's close in proximity to the Emergency Operations Center, so we would house both fire and EMS resources at this facility in another severe weather event. And then with that also is the safe room at the Emergency Operations Center. This would basically be outside the kitchen area, and again, we could use it for training, conference rooms, multi-purpose storage, bathrooms, showers, and again, those bunk rooms. And again, Chief Alberts worked with Laura Laser for several months on this project. It's been through leadership. Suzanne has been a part of the project as well, going through it. And with that, we have that proposed grant for your consideration. And Chief Alberts can answer any questions. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Heather Post.
Jim, I'll just say maybe we can use that new training room at the EOC for a new media room as well, because that media room we have now can fit about 2 people.
We did bunk quite a few people in the media room, as we always do, as well as the manager's advisory group room. Just about every square space has cots in it, including the offices with multiple people. And with the Citizen Information Center, oftentimes we bring in 2, maybe even 3 shifts, depending on the weather and the ability to be able to relieve people to go home or keep them there. And then that's also the same for the Communication Center. We have the ability for the men's and women's bunk room to sleep about 70. I remember during Matthew, I think we had about 285 individuals in the building, that are not only the primary but secondary for being able to do the shifts 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And so this will go a long way to not only putting the fire station in a great location at a savings with the grant, but then also the required items that we would love to have for the Emergency Operations Center. The EOC, again, with Hurricanes Ian and Nicole, did exceptionally well. Wonderful facility. And of course, the state, coming down to participate with us if they have to bug out of Tallahassee, including the governor. So this will just go a long ways to helping everyone.
And on the fire station side, I know I've had many meetings in regards to this fire station, and the basic saying for fire is always that seconds count, right? And I think we all remember that horrible accident or crash with our public works guy just down the road. And seconds really do count, and that station is very much needed to get on that main thoroughfare. And not only that, but to get you guys, you know, the restrooms and all that, that you actually need showers and everything. So very, very excited on my way out to see that happening for sure. And you have 3 years to get it done if the grant is
We have
approved.
36 months to complete the project.
But what I'm
once we get
hoping is that
approval.
obviously that we will try and get it done more expediently than that. And I'm sure you guys will push for that as much as you can. So, all right, move approval.
Second.
Okay, the motion is moved for approval by Post, second by Gertman. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of approving the $24 million grant application, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you all very much. Good work. Item 6, resolution finding public purpose and approving issuance of Housing Finance Authority of Volusia County Housing Revenue Bonds.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the Housing Finance Authority of Volusia County has requested a finding of public purpose and an approval of issuance of housing revenue bonds, completion bonds for a project Town West Senior Living. The counsel for the Housing Authority is here if anyone has any questions.
Any? We have a motion to approve by Johnson. Is there a second? Second by Wheeler. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Item 7, update 12th extension of the declaration of local emergencies. These are actually very important.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning. Russ Brown, Senior Assistant County Attorney. Before we use the 12th extension for the declaration of local emergency for Hurricane Ian and the 7th for Hurricane Nicole. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's another 7 days.
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Post, second by Robbins. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Russ Brown. Yes.
And Bartlett speak for a minute on just kind of the latest where we're at with Nicole and Ian.
Okay.
Well, good morning again, council members. Jim Judge. Just a bit of an update on the hurricane season. It's finally over on November the 30th. You know, back in May and June, the numbers of hurricanes that we were anticipating were unbelievable with the numbers, and every time they gave us an update, the numbers even looked higher. But it was obviously a pretty average hurricane season. We did have 14 named storms, 8 of which were hurricanes, and we had 2 major hurricanes, of course. Ian was a Category 4, just a couple of miles an hour shy of a Category 5. And then there was also Tropical Storm Alex that crossed over South Florida. And then, of course, we had the Category 1 Nicole. Damage assessment with Ian so far is $357 million and counting. And we have been approved for disaster housing assistance. So we have 2 programs out there for housing assistance. One is for FEMA, and the other one is for the Florida Division of Emergency Management. For the FEMA, it's basically anything from finding apartments for people to rent, mobile homes in a mobile home park, or even putting that RV in someone's driveway. And Kevin Captain, of course, has been sending this information out to the public. We've been sharing it with the municipalities, and even had a meeting last week with the municipalities to go over the permitting process, and also providing both FEMA and FDEM with the power companies information, so that as they move forward with the permitting, that they can arrange for the electrical power should they choose to have an RV on their private property. We're also, again, the non-congregate sheltering is the state's FDEM's program. It's good for 6 months, but that program actually started on September the 29th with the federal declaration. So we're already a few months into it, but we understand there's going to be an extension. And we've had 271 individuals apply for that, and 22 households are deemed eligible through the process. So the individual assistance applications for Ian are over 63,000. We've had, of course, local states of emergency, which you all just approved for both Nicole and Ian. And the Disaster Recovery Center continues to operate very well, of course, with the federal declaration from Nicole. But overall, we've had over 6,000 individuals go to the emergency or the Disaster Recovery Center. And the transitional sheltering from Ian, we still have 229 individuals that are checked into hotels. So that's still a good program. Nicole, damage assessment at $495 million. Individual assistance is approved. Volusia County was finally declared on the December the 13th as a federal declaration. And already we've had 836 individual assistance applications. And so that's really the latest update. Again, we did a hot wash right after the storms at the Emergency Operations Center. We had a great turnout. And so we basically looked at what we did well, what we can improve upon back in for both Ian and Nicole. And with that, then we begin to prepare the after-action reports for both of these storms. So with that, of course, we're coming up on some nasty cold weather that I know that Kevin has briefed you all on. Looks like it'll be Friday night late. Through the day Monday, we could have temperatures down in the 20-degree time frame with wind chill, and certainly 30 degrees. Won't be out of the forecast, so time to cover the plants, bring them in, and get ready for that cold weather. And the good news too is that our local agencies, First Step has first time that they'll be participating with our cold weather sheltering. And then, of course, we have Halifax Urban Ministries, the Neighborhood Center in DeLand, everyone certainly stepping up. And then, of course, Yolanda Buckles from EM. Staff continues to provide the weather information literally daily as we go forward with these potential cold days ahead. And that's all I have for report, if anybody has any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Don't see any questions. Was that it? Okay. Kevin Captain, community events.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable members of the council, Kevin Captain, Community Information Director. So item number 8 is the community events update. We've got 2 events. First one being the Volusia County Fire Rescue Rappel event, and more of a training exercise, but they did this last year as well too at Halifax in the Fountain Tower. And basically they do a rappel, and we're working with Halifax to conduct this event with them, and it also brings a little treat to the pediatric unit for those that are on the, I believe it's the 6th floor there. So that's coming up. I want to make a correction. It is on December the 21st. The original news update we had the 22nd. Also want to just mention the Florida Arbor Day Native Tree Giveaway. It's 2 days, Friday and Saturday, January 20th and 21st. Various tree species will be available across the multiple locations, and you can take 2 free native trees per household. And if you have questions about the types of trees, you can call the extension service. That's 822-5778. And just to kind of tag on to what Mr. Judge mentioned, we are keeping the PIN site up to date with the latest information with FEMA and SBA. And I do want to give a shout out to the representatives from FEMA and the Small Business Administration. They have been a delight to work with, and we're very lucky to have the representatives in particular that we have with FEMA and SBA. They've been able to provide not only multiple updates per day through the weekends, but they've also been coming onto our Volusia radio program and giving information that we've been able to put carve-outs on social media that you might have seen. So really a tremendous bunch of people that are really helping our residents. So I just want to give a shout out to those folks from FEMA and the DRC. Speaking of the DRC, it'll be closed Saturday, December 24th through Monday the 26th for the holiday weekend. But if you can still apply online, and you can also still apply through the app, the FEMA app or the SBA app. And just a reminder, as to kind of tag on to what Jim said, the Property damage deadline for the application process for Ian is January 12th, and for Nicole, it is February the 13th. And for those that sustained economic injury, there's still plenty of time to apply for that. That'll be until, I think, June and then September. And then just lastly, to mention the cold weather updates. We are working with community services and emergency management. And so as those shelters open up on the west side and the east side, notifications will go out. And for the clients that particularly need them on the east side, Halifax Urban Ministries is a key player to help with that. And obviously Votran will be involved in that process as well. So any questions? All right, thank you.
I don't see any questions, and can I have a motion to approve this report? Motion to approve by Wheeler, second by Johnson. All in favor say aye. Motion carries 6-0. Item 9 has been moved to the next council meeting. Item 10. Performance evaluations of the county manager and the county attorney. Which one of you are responsible for the sound system? Okay. I think we will hear from the county attorney and county manager, from all of you. I'm going to do something a little different, and I don't want there to be misunderstanding, but I think this is important. I would prefer to evaluate the county attorney and county manager privately in a written evaluation, and I'm waiting to do that. And the reason is, as you know, has been in the press. We've all been asked. None of us have commented because it's not appropriate to comment on it yet. But the investigation of corrections. It's a serious issue. There's serious questions. We have several independent investigations going on at the request of the county manager and county attorney. County manager has given Director Flowers extra time to respond, to do his own investigation, and to ask questions. For me, I think it's premature to evaluate and discuss a raise until the results of that investigation are done, because I believe that the county manager and the county attorney are serious about having an independent, fair evaluation. And I believe that's underway. We've had discussions about it, and so I don't want to give out any false ideas. There's other underlying problems. I have a very good working relationship with the county manager and the county attorney. I have access anytime that I ask for it. I've never been denied. Quite the opposite. I get visits from them to see if there's anything I need. I appreciate that relationship, and I think it's critical that it goes forward. But for me, I'm going to withhold evaluation until the end of those inquiries and investigations. Billy Wheeler.
Yeah, I would just like to ask you a question. What do we do about a time frame on that? I mean, that could go on for a long time.
It could. That's the problem. It could go on. So I'm not preventing anybody else here from whatever you intended to do for your evaluation. I would like it to be a little bit more in-depth. I don't know what the time frame is of these investigations. I don't think you know, because you're not directing it. I'm talking to the county manager. You're allowing it to go on and not giving orders of how it's done. So you don't really know when it will be done.
I mean, a good portion of it's wrapped up. There are things that are now have been given to other authorities, and we don't have any control over what they may find or do with that. But from a personnel point of view, that part is wrapped up. So, HR.
Ben Johnson. You don't do an evaluation on one issue. This evaluation is for the year. It's for whatever, all the other stuff that has been done. As such, I'm not going to comment on the corrections of the flowers, but I think it's imperative that, I know for one, I'm going to evaluate them on their overall performance of what I have seen this past year. So you can withhold yours, but I am going to take and make my comments. Like I said, once again, as a longtime supervisor and administrator, you don't do your evaluations on one incident.
And I think you should. This is your last meeting. I think you should have your time to speak and your relationship with them, not just for this year, but for the 8 years that you've been here. Seems longer. Okay. Yeah. Did council members, anybody who wants to speak to the county manager, county attorney? There's a delay on this. I don't really have a stuttering problem today, but there's a delay on all these mics. Danny Robbins.
Thanks, Chair. Now, going through it, I do see a little bit of your point to that, but something that we need to also consider is anything, this thing it went through FDLE, everything was cleared up on our admin side and HR. But as Ben stated, it's up to us to look at everything throughout the year. A couple things that I had taken notes on throughout the year are our social media and media presence. One of our most important roles as leaders or administrators of the county is getting out factual information for our constituents, for the public, for our businesses, so on and so forth. And they made a huge jump thanks to County Manager and Kevin Captain for stepping that up. It has really helped out quite a bit online, and people are very happy about that, as I am. Just some revenue increases, help tailor pay-to-state program or subsistence fees for the jail, which is it's gonna yield millions here in the future, and it's only going to get better as our population increases. Little things like switching over to LED bulbs to save on electric here in our county buildings, that can equate to a great deal of money, so you're going to see a savings there. The county manager was able to help fully fund our first responders. That has been a top priority of everyone on this council, and help us get through and make better contracts for them and the unions as well. He's been very aggressive with pursuing grants across the board. And this isn't thousands or hundreds of thousands, this is millions, that has relieved taxpayers where it's not going to be coming out of the general fund or allowing us not to, or making it so that we don't have to have a tax increase or a budget increase to fund some of these critical projects that we need here, including ARPA, which has been the largest fund I think this county has ever seen, or grant fund that this county has ever seen, and help allocate that in the most effective and efficient ways possible. He's also added approximately 41 positions to the public protection, 8 emergency medical technicians, 7 paramedics, also including 2 ambulance supply technicians, 6 corrections officers, 15 firefighters, He's also increased recruiting efforts in all of our major divisions of public protection. There's been approximately $10 million in savings by working with the Speedway in lieu of building a new driving track for the sheriff's office. There's been multiple sales of decommissioned properties, such as the Canal Street old tax tag office there for approximately $1.8 million. Also supported economic development incubator programs to help generate additional commercial business tax revenue for the county, and not just residential. And that's all been a major topic here of this council. Community assistance, vacated lease space at the Bank of America building for newly remodeled West Annex, saving the county nearly $200,000 in rental expenses. And it's not just that one, there's several others. Implemented on-demand models with Votran. And it gets back to efficiency. You know, the federal government gives us grants to get these buses. Just because somebody wants to give you something initially up front for free doesn't mean it could be a good deal. He recognized that in just this one instance, and was able to tweak our model a little bit. So there's a laundry list of other things here. I'm happy with it. Our communication is great. Even when I email at 4 or 5 a.m., most of the time I get a response. So I'm overall happy with that. I have the utmost respect and trust in his ability, and he's by far one of the most knowledgeable people that I've seen here in Volusia County in all aspects of this. And
Danny, who are you talking about?
But given the fact of the millions of dollars in improvements that we had under his direction, you know, I think it's money well spent for what this community has received. But I'll be in support of that.
Thank you, Danny. Who's next? Billy Wheeler?
Yeah, I'll be a little briefer. Ditto on everything that you said. That always makes it good to follow you, because you get quite a bit in there. So I think absolutely we have seen him implement and execute the directives that have been given by council in everything for certain that I have asked. And he has served the residents of Volusia County and his staff beyond approach. One of the things when I got onto council, one of the changes that I wanted to make was communication problems between cities in the county. That was a huge, huge issue for me. And I can tell you, even as soon as the roundtable last week, and we went around the table for every single city, and they were describing the damages that they had incurred. Every one of them praised the services of the county and the response that they received from the county. Every single one of them were just beyond glowing reviews on how the staff was so responsible, mentioned George by name, and so many of our staff that just have been amazing. That to me is one of the main things that I pushed for, and I hear it all the time, George, from the cities that I'm involved with, how pleased they are, the interaction that they feel that they can call you and get results, and you always listen, you get it done. The only thing that I'm going to say that I will always ask for, and for the new council coming on, that there be more communication between the staff with the council people in their jurisdiction, in their district. When there are issues that are going on and you hear it from the cities, or they're having a request, please pull the council in on that, you know, that council person in that district, because so often we're out there and we're in the grocery store with those residents, and they come up with something, you know, that we don't know about, and that I never like to be in that position. So we always need improvement on that. If we're having any kind of a meeting in our district, we should be included on that, conversation. But other than that, George, the things that you've gone through and just this last year, how you handled this crisis that we have been in, and then you handled COVID. It's been back to back of real crises, and a true leader is one that carries his team through with him and makes them all in the front. And he's got qualified people. He's made sure he has qualified people under him. So every department was covered. And I will miss that. I will miss you. I'm not going to go there. But I will miss the staff because you're like a family with me. But George, I couldn't rave more about the things that you have done for Volusia County. You're just the best. Thank you.
Barbara Gertman.
Oh, it is working. So it honors me to be able to say ditto and ditto for everything that Danny and Billy were saying. So no need to repeat those compliments, but what I will also say that I've honored and respected about you is recognizing the areas where you did need help and improvement, and being willing to be humble enough to have those hard discussions with me. And not only did you seek to elevate yourself, but your executive team and leadership. And in the 4 years I've been here, I know I've seen the difference. And I hear it in the community when people are working with our departments and teams, and I certainly have experienced it myself. So I think it takes a leader to recognize and appreciate the need that we don't come always as a total package, and sometimes we need to elevate and extend that, and I appreciate that about you. If there's any concerns that I have or any suggestions that I have going forward, it's going to be similar to what Billy said, and it's going to be more about communication, but it's also, I think we put a lot of pressure as a council on you, and we have to have, or I hope the new council has a better understanding that we speak with one voice when we vote, but we are 7 different personalities, and we all come from a different approach. And you typically manage that real well, but I think in the last 2 years, there's been some extra challenge on the council. And I think sometimes it's necessary that we do get pushed. I appreciate mostly how it's been handled, but I also think that sometimes we can respond differently to those challenges. And I would hope that sometimes we can find a more transparent and direct way of dealing with them. So I don't have the answer for what that is, but if that's going to be an ongoing challenge, I think many times the council can get frustrated because they feel like the voice of the executive staff is not being heard clearly, and the directives aren't coming through as clearly, because sometimes I think it's intimidation, right? Or it's trying to determine where your true role and responsibility is to each council person. So, so I don't have the answer for what that communication needs to look like differently, but sometimes it doesn't come across as strong as it could. So But overall, I'm impressed, and I appreciate the hard work of you, your staff, and I'm going to miss working with you at this time.
Heather Post.
So I'm the one left. I'm imagining I'll have the opportunity to say more when it comes to our part of us leaving, but certainly with being injured in April and lots of things going on, almost every year I have done a written evaluation, and much to the chagrin of my colleagues most years, but this year I did not actually do a written evaluation. And I think it's really the same message every year. George, you and I have had a lot of discussion over the years in my 2 terms in office in regards to making positive changes, and typically people don't like change. But there are a lot of positive changes that could be made, have been made, and my message to you has always consistently been that it's your job. Just make the changes, make the positive changes, and then they'll just become standard operating procedure. They'll become SOP, and no one in future councils, no one in future administration will ever be the wiser, and things will then just be moving forward in a better manner. So I know I've sent that message home many times, but the one message that I would just really like for you to remember in future years is just, and it's a cheesy tagline, but it makes sense, is people before politics and people before profits. And the county has to run an operation, but we have to put the actual needs of the citizens above everything else, and I think that should be number one. So, and we've had that discussion in many divisions, but I'll talk more later. But as for the last year, you guys have really pushed forward a lot of things. With more funding coming in, and through coronavirus, we're still getting corona funds. I don't know how that's possible from the federal government, but a lot of upheaval and a lot of changes just in this last year, and it's been handled very well by staff. But again, we'll talk more later. Thanks.
Thank you, all of you. And I thought you already had a turn. Okay. Ben Johnson.
Tell you, you're going to silence me on the last meeting. Come on now. Anybody can earn good times. And we've seen in the last several years, and it's been sitting all across this board, but we've had some tough times. And although we're supposed to be evaluating on the year, it's just rolled year after year the last few years of one crisis to another. And it's so simple, like I said, to lead during the good times, but we went through the COVID, which we're still going through, and still playing catch up, and still putting in and getting the money and the resources and putting them in the proper places. You've done a great job in that. You've done a great job in putting together and keeping an outstanding team of individuals that work for you. And you're only as good as the people that work for you, and they're the ones who make you look good, and that's the idea behind the game, and you've done an excellent job of doing that, putting that team together. And so when we're talking, we're also talking about when we go to the team and ask them, or we have a problem, or we have a citizen problem, and this is done by the management setup, to where even people coming up here, and people often don't realize it, they come up to this microphone beforehand and complain about things, or upset about things, and the people up front don't see it, or the people outside that are listening don't see it. But almost every time they're met by a staff member before they leave this room
to address their issues. How important that is, and that is management providing those services and giving the direction to our people to take care of our citizens. Government doesn't always do it right. We all don't always do it right. But I think overall, George, you've done a fantastic job during bad times. From one to the next to the next. We get finished with, winding down from COVID. Then we decide to have a few storms that are going to impact us for years to come. And you're already setting that up. And what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Where are we going to find the sand? Where are we going to find the resources? How are we going to make sure that people can or can't rebuild? And so really, I have to really commend you for being a good leader and a good manager and a good friend. At that, I'm going to not just recommending, I'm making a motion that we award our county manager for a job well done with a 4% increase in his salary.
A second. Okay,
Did the second go on the votes? Second.
yes, we have a motion by Johnson, second by Gertman for a 4% increase in raise for just the county manager? Mm-hmm.
I'll step ahead, and the 4% also for the county attorney. Amend my motion.
Barb Gertman?
I back that up. I'm taking that out. I think we need to do these separate. So I'm sticking with my original motion. And also in that, make that a 4 1/4 so we can fix this sound system with the quarter. I'm just teasing about that, but 4%.
So we have a motion on the floor for the county manager for a 4% pay increase by Johnson, second by Gertman. Any discussion? And again, for the sake of the press that's here in the audience, but especially for, and I don't say this lightly, but for my friend George, I'm going to vote against it until the investigations are complete. I just think it's that important. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Just one. Okay, County Attorney Michael Dyer.
George wants.
George wanted to talk?
Well, I was going to introduce Mike, but I just wanted to take a second to thank all of you for your faith and giving me the opportunity to lead this great organization. It's something, as you know, I take 100% to heart at all times. And I'm also grateful to hear you compliment the team, because it is the team. And when I took this position, for me, it was all about the team and the chance to build the team that I knew was coming. And that's my proudest accomplishment, is the people that I work with every day. And I take it very seriously, and we consistently work on that, but I can tell you, I know we have a culture here of teamwork, cooperation, and problem solving. And because of that, you can be assured we will continue to improve, because that's in their nature. That's what they want to do. And so again, I'm honored to be here, and thank you for your faith and your kind words. And I do take the criticism very constructively, and it is important, and you need it. It's part of being coached, and I like to coach, and I need to be coached. So I do appreciate that, and we'll take it as we continue to improve. So just, again, thank you.
Okay, before we move on, we did have a member of the public who wanted to speak on this item. Did you want to hear from the county attorney first? You want to go now? John Nicholson.
John Nicholson, Daytona Beach. Two things. One, as a member of the public, I know I'm 1.5 million, but the public has a right to say whether we approve or disapprove, and I both respect and admire both of them. So with that said, that's from the public. Secondly, it appeared when I put the tag in that you would not vote, and I wanted to let you know or remind you that there's one chair empty, and tomorrow there'll be 5 chairs empty. So if you put off the vote till next year, you'll have all brand new people who will not know what they did last year. So I'm glad you all made your comments. Thank you.
Okay. Now we move to the evaluation of County Attorney Michael Dyer. I've already, pardon? Okay. Okay, if we follow the this list, then it's Heather Post first, and then it will be Danny Robbins.
So, Mike, for the last year, there's been a lot that your group has accomplished for sure, and there's a couple people that I want to highlight, but I'll do that later. The one thing I can say about you is you have been very good at providing information. So not providing the information that you think that we should have, but actually just providing information. And that is what I have appreciated most in your tenure, for sure, because it's very important that we get just all the info for us to look at and make our own decisions. And for that, I commend you tremendously. And that is so, so important in our roles and a huge part of, I think, a good culture shift as well. So I thank you for your service in your role, and that's all.
Danny Robbins.
Is this a roast, or is it a, I'm just playing, I'll save that for Ben. You know, County Attorney, I was reviewing a lot of what you've done this past year and years prior. When you came on, I don't know if a lot of people know it, but you actually cut back a lot of your positions within your department or division. And it appears to me you're running a pretty lean, tight ship within legal, because you've been able to maintain your workload, your caseload, and still keep or help keep this machine going with your staff and not being, bloated in your department as years prior. Got us through a couple big settlements. Obviously, one of them was here today with the Veterans Bridge. You know, this stuff gets thrown at us, and a lot of times we don't know the answers, but you and your team somehow get us through it and make those judgment calls and look for the best path, not just for us, but for the citizens. The challenges through COVID, what's big too is giving us the information for Sunrail and preparing us for that. Your team has done an excellent job with that and helping us navigate that, and once again looking for the best path as we go forward, even in the worst situations. And also too, as just to echo what Heather had stated, helping us combat this, I guess I just call it political nonsense, throughout the last several years has been great. I make a request or make a public information request, it's done. And that information gets out there, and then we can disseminate it as we choose. So we went over just my one room for, I guess, improvement, the strength in that one finger to hit the to help us out a little bit more, to hit the microphone button, and that's really minor, but to help guide us in some of these situations that we've been put in, and give us that legal advice. But I appreciate everything you're doing and what you've done, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Bill Wheeler.
Again, it's good following you. Ditto. You're always available. Sometimes we talk at 10 o'clock at night, but you're always available. I commend you for that. And like Heather had mentioned, you always get us the information that we need. And that's vitally important when we're up here making the decision. As I said about the manager, I'm also saying it about you. A sign of a good leader is the people that he has around him, and that he brings them along and he allows them to rise to the top. Your team is spectacular. They really, really are a wonderful team. So that starts at the top. So Mike, I thank you for having a backup group around you that supports us. They really are amazing, and I thank you for that. The only thing that I have, it's pretty much what Danny had said. I'd like to see a little bit more strength when we're here at the council meeting and we go rogue. I'd like to see you step in and call out Robert's rules or whatever it takes, but stop the rogue and try to get us back on path. A lot of valuable time has been lost on that. But all in all, I appreciate everything you've done for me since I've been in here. I appreciate your friendship, and I've appreciated your honesty even when I really wanted you to get to yes for me. You've made me toe the line too. So I thank you for all of that, and thank you for the good job.
Garden.
Thank you, Chair. Attorney Dyer, I appreciate everything except one thing, and that's probably your humor. You would not be the last man standing for comedy. Like the others have said, I've been really impressed since you've come on, how you've not only created a team, but you've allowed the team to thrive and to represent the county in ways where they were able to elevate themselves with their level of expertise, their lane of expertise. And to me, it was in a selfless way that you've done that and put that opportunity for them to be out front. And each time something's been accomplished, you've identified how that was done, who did it, and gave them kudos for it. And I think that says a lot about a leader. So I respect that about you. I think, again, the council creates a challenge with how and when, as county attorney, you speak out, right? If we don't defer to you, I don't know that it's your role to jump in unless it's gone way off the rail. So I think the council as representation need to, I guess, step up ourselves or whomever is next and really utilize you more in that way and bring you into it. So I don't have an answer for how you can be that answer that the council is looking for without being asked for it. So I do appreciate how you respond, that you provide very thorough information. However, sometimes in the explanations, it doesn't come across as clearly and definitively. It's like you're trying to balance, you're trying to give both sides of a scenario when I'm really looking for the answer I want, right? But again, I know that's your job, that's your role, and I respect you in that role. And thank you for all you do. And work on your timing on those bad jokes you're bringing.
Ben Johnson.
I'm going to go back in history a little bit. I was fortunate to work with the county attorney's office for 16 years as sheriff, and I was always really amazed at the law firm that the county had built. And during that time, since, over the years, we've lost all of those original players. I don't think there's hardly any of them left. But what I have seen as one leaves, another shows, is the caliber of individuals that you have hired and how important that is. It's very easy to get attorneys or any staff that tells you what you want to hear. Instead, you have gotten a very competent group that sit there and will talk to you, will tell you, very smart, very personable, easy to work with, and that's the mark of a leader. You've done a fantastic job with that. You've done a very good job with the fact of like Billy said, no matter what time of day or night it is, that you'll contact us, let us know. You don't leave us hanging, that no deer in the headlight look, which is very, very important. Because the last thing you want to do is walk in and have one of the news reporters meet you at the door with a question you have no idea what it's about. And you've been very good at that. I do agree with Billy that there's times when you need to throw a hand grenade down here. You do need to say, hey, enough's enough, Robert's rule said. But I think you have done an excellent job. I am very satisfied with your work. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your commitment to the county and to the citizens of this county. And it's not, whenever we're in public service, our job isn't to make the people sitting up here happy, it's to make the public happy and do the right things. And without the proper information, we get in trouble. And none of us have gotten in trouble. And we greatly, greatly appreciate that. Mike, you're a friend. You've done a good job. As such, I'm also going to make a motion that we give our county attorney, not give, both of them have earned this, not given it to them. And we have to stay competitive in this market. And people wonder about that, about these raises, and they're sitting out there saying, oh, listen, they're giving the big raises. But you have to stay competitive in today's market. And we're one of the lower counties around. And if we lost either one of these two individuals, to replace them would be so much more expensive with good quality people. So you want to keep them, you want to reward them, you want to make sure that we stay in the market. As such, I'm making a motion to give our county attorney a 4% raise.
Motion by Johnson for a 4% raise for the county attorney Michael Dyer, second by Gertman. And I'll make my comments. They're going to be very brief before I call for the vote. I've really said what I'm going to say, but I want to publicly say to Mike, I think it was yesterday you walked into my office and asked me if there was anything I needed. You didn't do that because we had an evaluation today. You do that as a matter of habit, probably weekly. When I call you at 8:30 in the morning and tell you I have a meeting that just came up that I need an attorney to sit in at 9,
the attorneys there at 9 o'clock. You have exceeded my expectations in every way. Ben just called you a friend. A minute ago, I called George a friend. Our job up here is to not be friends with everybody, but friendship comes from respect and familiarity. And I've gotten to know both of you well, and I feel completely comfortable with you. However, and I guess this is me going rogue again, I think I also have a responsibility to the public that's in contact with me, that is very concerned about investigations going on. I have my own ideas of where that's going to go. It's not appropriate for me to say that now because there's investigations going on that you and the county manager have correctly initiated, and I need to wait till the end of those, and then I'll deal with all this whenever that happens. It'll probably be in council member remarks. But I don't want to leave this without both of you knowing that you have my admiration and support. I just think it's really important to get to the end of this because the questions are serious, but the accusations that are often unfair and unfounded by the public are far-reaching and could be devastating to our county. So we will continue to, I hope, to work together. And again, Michael, not just you, but Heather that sits beside you, Paulo, and everybody in here that you have provided to me to work with on questions that affect this county is just very significant to me. The one thing that I will talk to you about in private is that I know your job is to protect the county, and sometimes I feel like your job is first to say no because you need to protect the county. When I ask a legal question, I would like to get, besides no, I mean, Ben, are you shutting off my microphone? You are restrained by the law, and we have to follow the law. I would like to hear from you answers of how can we do a certain thing, not just guided by fear of being sued, because we're always going to be sued. We get sued multiple times a week. I don't want unnecessary lawsuits. I don't want frivolous lawsuits, but I want answers of how we can implement the charter that we have sworn to uphold. So I don't have any doubts that we will be successful at that. I appreciate your help. And with that, I will call for the vote for a 4% pay increase for County Attorney Michael Dyer. All in favor say aye. Aye. And any opposed will be one again until the end of the investigation. Okay. I'm sure he does.
Yeah, I appreciate your kind words and your feedback. I know this is not like any other public evaluation that any of us have been part of. Usually one-on-one with an employee, and due to the nature of our jobs and your jobs, we do this publicly, which is entirely understandable. I had an attorney that I respected that was an attorney for a government agency when I was in my last job tell me, he says, well, Mike, just remember these jobs are not lifetime appointments. And I have tried to live by that because try to do the job right, surround myself with people that want to do the job right as well, and not worry about it. Just move forward. And I think that's important. You all are in extraordinarily difficult positions. You're elected to do the right thing. You have things thrown at you left and right. I see as our job is to try to make your life easier and provide you information so you can make informed decisions, not be an eighth member of council. And I know I've said that before, but that's been important to me, to be a resource, this office be a resource to you so you can fulfill your responsibilities. And I appreciate everything. I know we'll make some other final comments before the meeting's over, but thank you.
I just had one question. When you voted against, you said it was until you receive whatever information, as though that could change the result. So that's not what you're saying, right? You're just voting no. So it's not a matter of you voting no until, correct?
Correct for this year. I'm voting no, so really my next opportunity to vote will be next year.
Right. So you understand what I'm saying? When you qualified it, you said you were voting no until the
next
investigation
evaluation.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make that clear. So you won't have any opportunity to make any changes or any other recommendation in regards to this vote?
No, but I definitely will speak to it once the investigations are complete, because it's the public deserves to hear that. And just as importantly, George Rechtenwall and Michael Dyer deserve to hear, to have the outcome of these investigations be made public, because their reputations have been questioned. And I want that resolved.
That's been us on the dais since we've served. So if that's the qualifying, that, yeah, again, we are voting on your work every day, not one issue that you're trying to get resolved. So I respect your opinion, but I think we're recognizing their efforts, overall. So thank you.
I'd like to back up what Ms. Gertman said on that. This is the yearly evaluation. They did a good job. And kind of question reputation when you do make those statements, but thank y'all for a job well done.
Okay, we'll move to item 11, which is recognition of outgoing council members. And I'm going to ask Heather Post, you are first anyway. Your family and friends have been here for a long time. So anything you care to say?
Oh, gosh. So it's been 2 years in office. And first of all, I have to say, super excited about what next year holds. But this 2 years in office has been very eye-opening for me, for sure. There have been a lot of positive changes that have been made. There's been a lot of facilities that were fixed and upgraded that were not acceptable to our employees. That was a huge, huge plus, I think. There's a couple people that I wanted to speak about. Ben and Lori in Public Works. Again, there have been a number of people that I know within the administration that I can ask at any time, anything, and I will get an immediate response back, and it will be full disclosure, no questions, whether it's going to be good, bad, or ugly. It's always been a prompt response and then a prompt response to the citizen. Ginger, you have also been one of those people who has provided tremendous information, and you are extremely knowledgeable. I've greatly appreciated your work. I know that you don't get called up as often as you should, but greatly appreciated that. Jessica Fentress, I don't see her in here today, but holy cow, that woman knows the coastline and the coast of Volusia County, and she is a rock star in her area. Paulo and Russ Brown. I gotta wake Russ up over there, but super helpful. And I'd like to say Paulo has just amazed me from day one. I think is he around the corner there? He is, he's hiding. But you don't have to come up, Paulo, it's okay. But Paulo will just go on and on and on with all of the facts, and he provides detail down to the detail, down to the detail, and that has just been wonderful. I do want to say, Al Everson with the West Volusia Beacon, I'm going to miss you. It's been good chatting with you at the end of every meeting, so I will miss you certainly. But I'd also like to call up Kevin Captain. Kevin, I have something for you. Not money. Hold on. Here, Kevin. So before you open it, again, I have said over and over and over since I've come in how amazed I have been at where you have taken the visual impact of Volusia County and just increased it tremendously and really put us in a position to where we have slowly been changing the good old boy, I guess, reputation of Volusia County into a county that can be relied on, a county that can be worked with, and that we're a force to be reckoned with, and we are top 10th and 11th in land mass and population in the state. So again, every morning I marvel at the video screen, and Barb's tired of hearing me say that, but just all of those little changes that you make have been tremendous. So if you'll open that, I got that for you. And if you want to read it out loud, you can, but I know you probably never expected to be in this position from your past life, but you did take the position, and I'm very glad you did.
Thank you so much, Ms. Post. I'll read it. I never dreamed I would be a super cool chief information officer, but here I am rocking it. Or as members of our team would say, crushing it. Thank you so much.
And the rest
It's
of
a
your team is
privilege.
amazing. Pat has always been wonderful at responding to my last-minute proclamations because I'm super busy. So I greatly appreciate that.
And thank you. And if I could just echo, what Mr. Chair and all of you have said about both George and Mike when you're giving them their evaluations, I can't say enough about our team. They're the ones that do all the heavy lifting, and we come across a couple of hurdles once in a while, like our microphones today, but we learn from everything, and tomorrow's a new day, and we always do it better. So I put this out to our team members. They're who matter the most. Thank you.
So I've enjoyed all the relationships that I've made at the state, local, and national level. I've enjoyed, being at the White House level, and when the coronavirus hit, being called up to the White House several times, and really with open arms to allow me to find out what in the world was happening with COVID, and really trying to get the true answers from people in the know. So all of those relationships and all of those, all of that networking, I guess, has been phenomenal. Representing all the county commissioners in the U.S. for several years in a row, and Veterans and Military Affairs and Courts and Corrections has been just an exciting journey for sure. And I'm glad we expanded our Veterans Division while I was here. That took a lot of teeth pulling, George, but very glad that happened. And I have to say the main thing that I have that I'm really proud of is just really working for the employees that are in Volusia County and standing up for them as well, and working to ensure that they're represented in the way that they should be represented. And again, then we put people before profit and people before politics, which is a constant thing to be hitting home. But I'm going to come out to the audience because I actually have my husband, my daughter from Atlanta, her husband Armel, and the whole rest of my family here. And well, now I'm going to cry, but I literally could not have gotten through, and you all know I could not have gotten through 2 years or 2 terms in office without you and your support for sure. You guys know in 2018, I had a come to Jesus meeting about EMS here, left here, had a stroke, was in ICU for 7 days, and then fell down the stairs in April. So the county has certainly battered me for sure physically, but I've greatly appreciated the role and couldn't have done it without you. So I'm going to come down there and give you all hugs. I've called Megan many, many, many times, and she has helped with a lot of decisions, so. From the younger perspective.
Come in. You can have some of you this side.
Heather, can you make a step that way? That's perfect. Yes.
There you go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Give everybody. Stretch the ball. Big smile. All right, go ahead, Pat.
My hand, thanks.
I have weekends and I can actually talk.
Randy, do you have to leave? Okay. Just before you go, I just wanted to say thank you to you as well, because it's obvious to all of us that sit up here that this job is a family affair. It affects the whole family. It's affected your wife's health, and we appreciate your continued service to our county, but your service to your wife. Thank you for lending her to us. I don't know of a member of the council that's been more dedicated to service of first responders and everything else that happens in the county. You should be very proud of her. You're a blessed man. Barb, you are next, but would you mind, I just see that Fred Lowry's in the audience. Would you mind if we, 'cause he's not on the list anywhere. Well, because I put number 2 next to your, if you go down the roll call, I'm going to save Danny for comments. Fred, would you like to come up and say anything to audience? Or? Okay. Barb Gertman, you're next.
Oh, there it goes. Interesting times, right? So just been really proud to have served these last 4 years and this last year as the Volusia County Vice Chair. I've learned a lot. I've done a lot. And I came to serve with intent, right? I came to serve a community, to serve Volusia County, and to advocate for specific needs that, in my view, were going unmet, or the way things were being addressed, to me, wasn't taken to an account for current culture. So to me, many things were stuck in a point of recession, a point of lack. And anything that I come to from a place of intent, opportunity, and I seek to shift the culture and the environment from a negative to a positive, a still to an active. And I'm just about movement. I want to see things going forward. And I want to see people and the process moving forward in ways that benefit as many people as possible. And to me, that's not about politics. That's about trying to do the right thing for the right reasons and try to do it at the right time. And these 4 years for me, that's what it was about. I'm disappointed not to be going forward with you. However, I believe I've made many new friendships. I've planted many seeds within our community, and I've shifted the atmosphere in a lot of environments I've been in. And again, I do it with intent. I do it with care, and I do it with purpose, because you matter, this community matters, and Volusia County matters. And I'm just really looking forward to opportunities. For me, I believe that Volusia County right now is really positioned for great things if we get out of our own way. Because I think many times we trip over ourselves trying to make it more about a point than an issue and a result. So again, I'll be working out in the field, but I won't be everywhere doing everything. I'll be doing the things, in my view, that have the greatest opportunity to bring results back to the community, and especially for things that I've invested in. One of the areas that I truly came to serve and impact is the TPO, the River to Sea TPO, and the infrastructure and investments, specifically when I came here for West Volusia. And I'm really proud of many of the accomplishments we've been able to make, the relationship shifts we've been able to make happen. And like I said, I'm walking away not feeling bad about efforts. I'm feeling disappointed that I won't be here to help pull them through from this side. But no, I don't go away that easy. And my purpose and intent really hasn't changed. Just how I make those things happen will be what will change. So again, I want to say thank you to the community. I don't think there's ever any mistakes made, even though I worked hard to be reelected. And if I could work that hard for something and it not happen, then to me, it's not intended for me at this time. What's for me is for me, so know that I don't feel any kind of way about that. But know that I really do appreciate the staff, the management, and all of the people that I've worked with and learned to respect and appreciate. And I hope they feel the same for me. And I just look forward to moving forward in positive ways and maximizing on opportunities, because I believe that's where we're positioned. I wrote out this whole long list of accomplishments and what we've done and where we've done it. But many of those things should be speaking for themselves. And it looks like, depending on who's looking at it, you know, we as a county, we as elected officials don't get things accomplished. And I think it's because that's what you seek to find for those who look at it in that way. I know we've done great things, and I know there are great things ahead as well. So thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the other side.
Yeah, you're going to do it with each one when they're done, okay. They have a little presentation for you. Oh, for the group picture. Okay. Billy Wheeler's going to go next. I wanted to say to you as well, it's been a pleasure to serve with you. You have a tremendous heart of service for not just for District 1, but for everyone in Volusia County. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to see you everywhere. Almost everywhere. Thank you, Barb. Billy Wheeler.
Okay, thank you. Again, I can, after good voices, I can say et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, it's been 6 long years, and I had 6 years on city council. I'm really, really, really proud of the accomplishments. I came in here with goals, and I've accomplished the majority of them. I still hope that the Veterans Memorial Plaza moves forward, as well as that Marine Science Center continues with the rehabilitation areas. But I go to bed every night, and I put my head on the pillow, and I say I've done a good job. And I feel like I have not given up on my character. I have stuck by the standards that I came in here with, and I refuse to go down into the mucky muck. I've always taken the high road, and I'm proud that I have continued to keep those standards throughout my long time in here. The relationships that I have built, not only with staff and Ginger and Cyrus. I love you, George. That was another good move, good move, good move. But just so many of you, I love you to death, and I'm going to miss my parking. Just telling you that. I can't even begin to name everybody because I would leave so many out. Ben, Jim, Judge, oh my goodness. There's just so many relationships that I have made, and I deeply care for each one of you in our county. And the council, we've had some tough roads and everything, but I'm still overall, I'm really proud of the accomplishments we've made. We've moved a lot of things. Heather, you brought a lot of things to the table that you took an interest in that a lot of us didn't see, and I appreciate that. And we've accomplished a lot of those things. Each one of us had our own torch to carry, and not just for our district, but for the entire Volusia County. I'm just extremely, extremely proud of the work. I'm extremely proud to have served Volusia County for all this time. I'm not going to stop serving just because I'm on the outside. I'm going to continue. I love Volusia. I love the way that we're moving. I mean, gosh, when I got on, Daytona was so distressed, and that's one of my areas. And to see it now taking a turn and moving forward, and I'm still going to be watching that and still cheering on, you know. And last week I was, the Shores had their mayor's coffee that they have once a month, and they had me there, and they honored me with the proclamation and the keys to the city, as well as Ponce Inlet Mayor came and did the same, as well as South Daytona did the same. You know, those are the cities that I serve. That really was appreciated, and you know, I just didn't expect to be appreciated in that way. The Literacy Council gave me the Lifetime Achievement Award, and that one really touched my heart because there were probably 300 people there, and none of us up here do it for that. We really, really don't. So to be appreciated for some of the things that we do, it really touches us because we're out there 100% every day, taking the phone calls, writing the emails, making the things happen, getting with staff and making sure the connections are there. And I just appreciate staff so much for making those issues easy to get the answers on so many of the circumstances. I don't want to be remiss without thanking Terry. I know you're not in here, but I love you to death. And Carissa, Sonia, and all of you. You know, nobody's mentioned you yet, but I tell you, Terry she's there every step of the way when I be backed up against the wall. And then I have to say, Kevin and Pat, my gosh, I've called Pat on late night notice and said, oh my gosh, somebody wants me to read a proclamation in the morning, and by golly, I've got it in my hands. So everybody that's working with them and behind them, and Kevin, you're leading them. It's just been such an honor to work with all of you and serve. Again, George, your wonderful team that you've put in place. It goes all the way down. You know, there's just so many levels of just expertise, and that makes our jobs so much easier. For the rest of the council, you know, Ben has just been awesome being with you. I'm going to miss your phone calls, complaining and moaning and groaning, but I'm sure you'll still continue to do that. And Danny, you're one of the leaders now, and you're like an adopted son. You know, not sure if that's good or bad, but no, but I love you to death, and I love your little family, and you're going to do great things, I know. Barbara, our friendship is never going to end. We're birthday sisters, and we've made this connection and this commitment that we're staying together no matter what. Wherever she goes, they're going to be honored to have her, whatever she does. She's first class all the way and works so very, very hard. And Jeff, I just appreciate everything that you've done. It's been a real opportunity that I'm so glad that I didn't miss it. And unlike everybody said, you don't ever want to run for county council because they're crazy. I did it, and yeah, they are crazy, but I think we brought a little bit more to the table than just that, and we've all are dedicated. Every one of us are dedicated to the citizens and listening to what they have to say. That's who we serve. That's who we serve. So I thank you to all the citizens that have put me in this position. Thank you for staff for making me successful in this. And just thank you all the friends and my colleagues here. It's been truly an honor, and I thank you very much.
So we will have a presentation for you as well, but I want to say something before you go. I recall that when you first announced your first run, you went through tragedy, and it's really never stopped. You've had one health issue within your family after another, and you've served with dignity and vigor regardless of that the whole time, and that shouldn't go unnoticed. And I appreciate what you've done and wish for and pray for all the best for you going forward. Fred Lowry, would you please come join us for these pictures? Yes, that's appropriate.
Okay, County Council, big steps here that way, right.
Okay, Ben Johnson.
Where the time went. I originally started with Volusia County October 15th, 1971, and I guess after almost 47 years with 3 different stints with the County of Volusia, I really seriously considered making it a career, but I don't guess I'm going to quite make it. So I'm going to leave, and this time after three strikes, I'm definitely out. But I want to thank the people that are sitting here. We did some of that a little bit earlier, but I stop and look at the staff, and not all of them are here, and I'm not even going to start trying to call all the names because you missed somebody. But I can't think of anybody on this staff that I've ever asked a question or asked for help that they weren't there to give the answers and try to take and make this county better. And people complain about our county, but this is a great county. There's a lot to it. There's so much that we have here. and so much more to be gained with it. But it's no better than the people that run it, the people that make it go every day. And what a great job. You know, you wonder where the last 4 years went. It went so quickly. And it always does. And the older we get, like they say, the faster it goes. And we haven't always agreed up here, but overall, I think we've really tried to do what our hearts told us to do. And contrary to what some people out there want to think about somebody sitting us down under bright lights and telling us how to vote, that's an absolute lie. And I'm calling those people liars because it's not true. It does not happen. We vote as to what we think the people out there, the people that elected us, are most interested in and what is the best for the community. And have I ever walked out of here saying, I wished I'd voted different? There's been a couple of times when I walked out the door and thinking about it, I wished I'd gone a different direction. But at the moment I voted, I was voting at what my heart told me was the right thing and the best thing. And we all make mistakes. Everybody up here does. But I think everybody that sits on this council right now, even though we have different views, and a lot of times, you know, we can't see quite the same direction. It's the same thing. They're trying to represent the people that are talking to them and the people and how they feel that their hearts should go. Who's right, who's wrong? History will only tell. But I know a lot of times all of us up here have faced criticism, as public officials should. One of the biggest problems we have today is the lack of enough news media to keep public officials in the open and in line. It's so important, and it's so dangerous to fact up you don't have near as strong of a paper media or even other media as we once did to get the information out like we need it. And hopefully sometime or another they'll find a way to get around that. It's pure economics that put that in that situation, nothing more. But I want to thank everybody that has helped us over the years and made us, I don't know if you call us successful, but in our own minds, I think we all feel like we've been pretty successful, you know, no matter where we stood, of trying to do what was the right thing for the right reasons. And as long as you wake up in the morning, you can look in the mirror and say, I did the right things for the right reasons, even if sometime it was wrong, you still have succeeded. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Mr. Chair.
County Manager George Rectenwald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to, first off, just say our form of government depends on great people like yourselves to get involved like you have. And I don't know if the public always understands how involved you have to get. First off, you know, you have to run a campaign and go out in the community and get people to vote for you, which is an exhausting process. And then you get in here, and not only do we have 26 council meetings, you guys get invited to hundreds probably of meetings, and I know it's an ongoing thing, meeting with every city, meeting with citizens groups. I don't know when you guys do get to eat or sleep. I get to see some of you out there. Phone calls all the time, but our form of government depends on that and your service. And I just want everyone to be reminded of how much you guys put in. And you know, you said some kind things about Mike and I, and during this time of upheaval, you guys are going through it. We're all going through it together. They're calling you because of the storms. They're calling you during the pandemic, and you're representing your area so well. So on behalf of the staff, everybody here, we all really want to thank you for putting yourselves out and doing that, and we really appreciate that. We do have a little quick film here, kind of to end the presentation. Hopefully it'll work, or there'll be sound.
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state of Florida,
and that I will, well and faithfully, perform the duties of Volusia County Council,
of which I am now about to enter.
so help me God.
Kevin, you did that.
No? Okay.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public participation? There was snow on the road. What a surprise. John Nicholson.
Thank God I'm sure. Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking. No, it's been a great year, but being type A, task-oriented personality, I can't let it go, all right? A couple of things. One, it appeared during the presentation that they asked for billboards to be kept on public land and the possibility of having more billboards for revenue source. I'm hoping, for those of you that are remaining next year, that we don't do that. I cannot see billboards up and down I-4. It would really destroy the idea of saving these property, is to use them commercially like that. So I'm hoping you just kind of wave that aside. Secondly, sorry Billy, the children's playground. I worked for 15 years to get a children's playground next to the library, and then it was sidetracked. So it's halfway what I had envisioned. I'm asking you to consider looking at it again for its highest and best use. I want a theater there for the children. I want activities there, competition, things of that nature, that rather than having 3 or 4 kids, my vision was 300 or 400 kids at a time, which is what it could be used for. The courthouse. People in Daytona Beach just asked me, what's happening with it? And I'm like, I don't know. Talked to FEMA about it. He said, well, it's the county. So push them. So I'm pushing the county. The lawyers, the judges want it moved. They want it bigger, better. There are problems with the one that they have. I'm asking you to consider moving it downtown for synergy. It would be great for the city of Daytona Beach. It's moving right now, and it would be right next door to 400 apartments that are going in on Beach Street. There are several other things that are happening, so I'm asking you to look at that carefully and to move it as well. Tomoka Farms Road, thank you for changing the 2 lanes going right to 2 lanes going left. Drove by this morning and there's almost no backup. There used to be like a mile backup down Tomoka Farms Road. It's all gone. Again, I remind you, there are 2 more projects going on the road. So there's like 8 on Tomoka Farms Road coming down the pike. You can't plan too far ahead. LPGA needed to be widened and the city said no. Thank you, Ms. Post, very much for agreeing with me that it needs to be widened before the traffic builds up. So I'm asking you to take a look at Tomoka Farms Road. And lastly, I know I speak for myself, but for all the people in Volusia County, we wouldn't be where we're at without you guys, all right? And I know, I've said it once, probably twice, that I respect this board tremendously, and I still do. Okay, Ben, we're going to miss your historical knowledge, your institutional knowledge. It's all going to go, because you have all these little kids on the commission. Thank you very much for pushing EMS. You have no idea how much that helped the city, all right? Billy, God, you were everywhere. I couldn't turn around and go to a meeting without you being there. And most of you were at all kinds of meetings. Barbara, thank you, all right? You were great. And you shocked the heck out of me when you lost. Sorry about that, but I did not see that coming. But thank you all for what you've done. And for the 2 of you, next year, good luck. And thanks to the staff as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you, John. County Manager.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to remind everyone we'll have a great team out there, first responders, public works folks. A lot of people work through the holiday, and I always like to acknowledge that, keep us safe, keep our operations going, and we always appreciate that. I just want to wish you and my entire team and everybody out there a wonderful holiday season, and please, everybody, stay safe.
Michael Dyer, County Attorney.
Yes. Recently, we updated you on, we did receive a ruling on one of our challenges to our short-term rental ordinance on December 12th. There are two other cases raising really a similar argument that we're defending, but this was, I think, an important win. I was pleased it's consistent with prior litigation, and I think it really helps us moving forward. We also filed on Friday, as I shared with you, a new collection action with the West Volusia Hospital Authority on the Medicaid contribution for this year, which you previously allocated. The county did prevail at the trial court level on that, and that's now currently on appeal before the 5th District Court of Appeals. So I'm hopeful that whatever outcome we have on that appeal might help us with this second year's bill. But we did not receive payment for this year, probably not a big surprise considering the pending litigation. Mr. Johnson, Ms. Wheeler, Dr. Lowry, Ms. Post, Ms. Gertman, it's been an honor to work with each of you. You know, I tell people that you have to respect anyone who runs for office and puts themselves out there. It was an honor to try to assist you in that. I've learned from each of you, and I respect the work you have put into this job. And thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. For any, we'll just go down the line as usual for County Council closing remarks. Even if you spoke, if you want to say something else, you're welcome to. Heather Post.
Sure. Yep. Okay. So as we were going over stuff, there were a couple more things that I wanted to talk about. Amendment 10 was a huge thing that we went through in my 2 terms, and that was the best thing that ever happened to the sheriff's office. They are now really taking care of their employees and really moving forward in a whole new level, and it didn't cost us $1 billion, which was good news. Aaron Van Cleek, I haven't seen him in here, but I did want to give a shout out to him because from day one, even before he got the elevated position that he is in, he has sat on the side with me during the budget processes and gone through things and answered a ton of questions. And from day one, again, even before he was elevated to his current position, so just a rock star and glad that he's where he is. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Hazel, who has really been my rock throughout, well, since she came over to County Council. And I saw her in the legal division answering phones, and I said, I need her over here because she's just a genuinely wonderful and loving lady, and she has been so helpful and so wonderful and so thoughtful during my entire term, and just a delight to see every time I've come into the building, and also to the general council staff. You know, when I first came in, there have been a lot of changes made. One of those changes has been really providing council with the tools and resources to do our jobs better, and so that's having someone to type a letter for us, or really keep track of what's going on, go to meetings with us, that kind of stuff. And so this division has really expanded, and to all of you women in those roles, again, you've all been a delight to come in and see every day, and I thank you for all your help. And then lastly, I just want to thank all of the employees for Volusia County in general, in each division, all the boots on the ground people that really are the mainstay of the function of Volusia County. A lot of times you're down there and you're working and you're churning out all the stuff that comes up, and you're not focused on. And every year, my husband, my daughter will tell you, I write those for the employee appreciation, the anniversaries. I sit down and I handwrite all of those appreciation cards. And
at the beginning, it was a little horrifying, the responses that I would get back, because they would say, oh my gosh, no one's ever acknowledged us like this before. And so before I leave, I want to make sure that I thank each and every one of you again for your service to Volusia County. I've appreciated the work that you've done in the wings. I know Dana's really working to help you as well in human resources. So, I hope that future councils will really focus on those people within the ranks. I heard someone in very high leadership outside at one point in the beginning tell me, well, that's only 3,000 people, 4,000 people out of all the voters. But it's 3,000 to 4,000 people that run Volusia County, and we really need to take care of them. They're not voters. They're our people, right? So I hope that future council will also keep that in mind in giving them the pay that they deserve, so that they can sustain their families and that they can continue to serve in the way that they are loyal and in the ways that they do. So thank you, everyone. It's been a blast, and have a happy new year. Thanks.
Danny Rollins.
Who should I start with? Barb. I'll tell you what, coming into this as not from this background or political background, it was refreshing serving with you and listening to the other sides of things, whether it be humanitarian, cultural, just events out there in the public. It was just what you brought to this council was so much needed and very important, and not just for the community, but for us as leaders. I think you made us, you made me a better person and a better leader for my community and for my district. And I'm your Rambo, I know that. We just have to get you out of D-land and maybe to South Florida, kill some snakes, get over your fear. But we're gonna miss you. But I know that you're still going to be very active, and I look forward to helping you with whatever we need in the community on the west side to pursue just what's best for Volusia County. So thank you so much for everything. Heather Post. I know there's times that we haven't always agreed on everything, and sometimes we said things to each other that maybe weren't so nice. But looking back and reflecting on some of the discussions that we have, I get it. Each of us are here, and you're here. Your focus is with our first responders, veterans, and pay and all that stuff. That doesn't go unnoticed. And I want you to hear it from me that I respect you, and I respect what you did and what you fight for and what you're about. Because we each see things through our own windshields, and you have to respect that, and the guts to get into this arena. I think we all need a mental evaluation, to be honest with you, because some of us signed up for it again. But it was my pleasure serving with you and hearing the needs that and some of the issues that I missed, as a newcomer. But thank you again for your service.
Don't forget them.
But thank you, Heather. Fred. I think we're all going to miss that here, to be honest with you. So someone will have to, maybe Matt will pick it up. But you've been a tremendous asset down there. I've heard great things for the last few years. down in that Osteen, Deltona area, and I know you're going to be missed. We're going to miss some of you have some weird sayings. They're so weird sometimes, I can't remember them, but they're in a good way. Don't take that, don't take that bad. But they're, you know, I figured that. It sounded like some of his material. But, you know, you brought a different aspect to this team, and it was really enjoyable working with you and hearing you, and the friendship from you guys on the outside in our normal lives. But thank you, Fred, for everything and your service to this community and your friendship with me. Billy, I'm going to give you my Social Security number since you let the cat out of the bag about being a son. I need to get with your tax people so I can start getting some benefits. But no, your strength through, whether it's through adversity or issues here in the community, your personal life, I don't think there's a person in here that's stronger. You know, you've just been a fighter all the way around. You've been someone that has always picked up the phone for personal issues, whether it's to air frustrations to each other, anything outside of here. You know, my phone's always on for you, whatever we can do for you. Just like Barb, Heather, and Fred, if there's something you ever need, you know who to come to. This isn't something I don't think you walk away from, and these relationships are, it becomes family. Sometimes dysfunctional, but it's family. We get through it, but thank you for everything that you've done and the service that you've given everybody here, and we're going to miss you. So, now.
Motion to adjourn.
I met Ben when I first had the idea of running for office a few years ago, and he actually said, Dan, politics is an ugly business. Now, I can say this because he's leaving now, but I've had to look at you for every 2 weeks, and you're absolutely right. You are ugly. I'm just kidding. Same thing, you know, you have a guy has given his whole life to Volusia County, and there's a lot of shoes, some big shoes to fill there. You know, I had the opportunity to work with you, and 30 years ago, I don't know if I've ever told you a story. A deputy had responded to my folks' house out in Deltona for a burglary. I think you were pretty old then too. I mean, you're old now, but you were. So this was back in, I'd say, the late 80s. And Ben had showed up, and he was just making sure, you know, just everything was all right. But it was a burglary. It was a vacation house in Deltona. But I didn't think, you know, 30 years later, I'd be sitting next to you, helping lead Volusia County, man, and it really stuck with me. Your leadership back then and how your career has morphed forward, where you were at the top, you know, you're at the sheriff's level, and then at the county council. It's just, you've had a tremendous career, and you've done so much work for Volusia County, and there's a lot to be said for that. You know, this isn't an easy job by any means. And you've done it for 47 years. That's really a lot to be proud of. But yeah, you know, we're going to miss each and every one of you, and hopefully we can still continue all to be part of such a great team. And I've said it in the past, I'll say it again. This is a damn good council. You know, we have our bumps, we've had our hiccups, but this is a damn good council. And whether it's environmental issues, whether, you know, it's coming together in these weather hurricanes, or if you're Ben Johnson Hurricane, still don't understand that. But coming together the way we did, put some of this stuff aside, you know, folks don't really talk about that. They only talk about some of the hiccups they see on the highlights or by bloggers, and it's really not, doesn't paint a true picture at all. But we do have a good team, and I just want to let you know from District 3 and from my family and from me, from the bottom of our hearts, you know, we love you guys. So thank you guys so much for everything you've done and you've done for me and my family, and the opportunities you've given us. And it's been a tremendous learning experience from each and every one of you. But thank you guys so much.
Billy Wheeler.
Hello. Okay, again, thank you to everybody. Wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy New Year. Have one public service notice. All of you, or some of you, know that last week I had a great-grandchild, 13-month-old, that consumed a water bead. If you don't know what a water bead is, Google it. They're in a lot of the children's toys. They make them as playstations, they make them as sensory stations, and it is about the size of a little piece of rice. And he had eaten quite a few of them, and the only way they knew was that he started throwing up. The end result was that water bead expanded in him, and he had to go to emergency surgery to remove a water bead that had expanded to the size of a golf ball in his bowel. So he had to have his bowel removed and that removed and everything. He's back home, but as I have gotten engaged in this, I've had a lot of people reach out to me. My granddaughter, I got her on Channel 2 News. She's got an interview coming up with Channel 9, and then the hospital, Arnold Palmer, wants to make a public service statement out of it also. Last week I was on a Zoom meeting with that water bead lady who has been fighting because her daughter consumed one 5 years ago, and it left a lot of permanent damage, including toxic brain injury. There's another child that just had the 5th surgery from a water bead. So my message is, hashtag Santa says no to water beads. They need to be banned. I had about an hour last week with the Consumer Product Safety Council and pushing this forward. These other families are also. They've had a few of them removed from the store sites, but there's many brands that are making them, and figure this, they all come from China. So don't have water beads in your home if you have children or even pets. So hashtag Santa says no to water beads, and you say no to water beads also. Please look at the labels. All it says, it's not toxic, which it is, as well as it says shouldn't be around children around 3, and it may cause choking. A piece of rice doesn't cause choking. They can consume them, and they expand when they're in there. And some of them have gotten as large as a tennis ball. So please pass the word. That's my final word to you. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you on the other side.
Barb Gartman.
Thank you, Chair. Just a few things that I wanted to touch on, and I hate that I did not get to mention, or that I didn't take the opportunity to mention Terry, Sonia, Hazel, and the team. They have made this work easier, right, as far as any of the internal administration and scheduling, and they are such a pleasure to work with. So they have really made a major difference. So I did not want to go without saying how much I appreciate each of you ladies, how you've made a difference. I also just wanted to touch on a couple of the areas that I do intend to stay engaged with, And one of the public comments earlier was about mental health and opioid. And I met with our medical examiner recently, and we talked about some of the ways forward and what the impact has been on the community. And that's one of those areas. Affordable housing, of course, with being a local realtor, it's something that I know needs to be top of mind for Volusia County and regionally. So would love to stay engaged in that way. I mentioned TPO. Transportation, to me, infrastructure is key. And Jeff, I would really like to stay engaged regarding Sunrail, because I know, I think it always benefits us when we have two sides of a conversation, right, or perspective. And as much as many of us don't agree on things, to me, that's the beauty of the seven of us. Because if it was about all of us agreeing, you would only need one. So although I may not always like how we got to something, I always appreciated, you know, the difference. Different opinions, different opportunities, so, and different experiences. So I always felt like that was key. Lastly, one of my main projects right now is in Spring Hill. And I was on the Spring Hill CRA, and I'm also, will be on the executive board for the Boys and Girls Club of Flagler, Volusia Flagler. And one of the main projects we have going on right now is we're building a new teen center in Spring Hill, a new pavilion, and just upgrading that area. And to me, a big part of my, my purpose has been to create or connect to the legacy in Spring Hill, right? So we look to redevelop that area. One of the projects that we did, that we voted on, was redevelopment for rural and underserved areas that helped small business through the permitting process and through a PUD. And it's all about trying to uplift and change and create safer communities. It's also about creating a legacy for underserved and under-resourced areas. And to me, Spring Hill is one of those areas. So I am one of the co-chairs, along with Ed Lacey's grandson, to help raise the funds for this new teen center and freshening of the Boys and Girls Club in the Spring Hill area. I know we also have new park playground equipment going into that area, and there's just a number of other investments that I want to stay connected to as I'll be on the other side of this. So to me, I just wanted the public to be aware, so if they want to get engaged, I wanted to let them know they can go to the Boys and Girls Club website, which is bgcvfl.org, and or you can reach out to me personally, because it is one of my current personal passion projects to help upgrade this community and leave a legacy, because really what brought me to DeLand was a great-grandmother that settled in Spring Hill 60 years ago. So it is something that's always going to be close to me, and a legacy that I care to leave behind in bringing improvements. So like I said, I come with intent and then I leave with intent. So thank you. God bless and Merry Christmas to everyone.
Fred Lowry.
I only came here today to support my colleagues, but I certainly appreciate the honor and privilege bestowed upon me to sit up here one more time. And it's been a cool 8 years. We've been through some stuff, man. I mean, goodness gracious. Staff has done a good job, George and Mike and everybody. Again, I've always been impressed and amazed at the scope of work that's done by this county staff and the good job that they do. And I just want to say Merry Christmas to all my colleagues that I've served with, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Ben Johnson.
One of the biggest things I'll probably miss is our Wednesday morning 10 o'clock meeting. Those have always been kind of fun. Once again, I want to thank each and every one of you out there that have made us successful and helped us. You don't know how much I appreciate it, and the people sitting up here. For giving your time. Yes, we get paid for it, but we give a lot of time, and people work hard, and their hearts are in it. That's the most important part about it is their heart's in it. So I want to close with Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, good luck to all, keep up the good work.
Yeah, I've said what I wanted to say as each council member closed out, but I just want to share with you, last night I went to a Christmas party with a couple hundred people, and it was a Christmas party, and they did a presentation on Hanukkah, and it was really moving and touching, and it turned out that quite a few of the people there were Jewish, and they didn't know that was going to occur. They just came to the Christmas party because they loved the other people there. It wasn't a church. And it was a good reminder to me of how important it is for all of us to work together. As I think everybody up here has mentioned, we don't agree on everything, but we have to work together. Everybody up here also mentioned that we live in a beautiful county, and we do. And we have challenges, and with every challenge comes tremendous opportunity. So I look forward to working with a new council, welcoming them. Matt, you have been here through almost every meeting during the campaign, and now I look forward to serving with you. You will be representing one of the districts that was hardest hit by the storms. So you have a lot of work ahead of you, and I know that you've gotten to know Billy, and I know that you won't let him a nagavator, okay. So I'd just like to thank everybody up here for your service for the 2 years. It's been life-changing for me and for all of you. To the staff, I could probably do what everybody else did and go through a list of people that have been exceptionally helpful to me. I won't do that other than to mention Ginger Adair and Ben Bartlett, all of the attorneys. Thank you for your help, for your service. Cyrus, thank you for what you're doing at our airport. We look forward to continued improvements. And Booker, I'm glad that you're seeing clearly now, sort of. So anyway, thank you all for sharing your thoughts with us today. Merry Christmas to everyone, Happy Hanukkah, and we will see you next year.